MP for La Dadi Kopon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to congratulate my leader on his nomination by His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, John Dramani Mahama. Honorable Leader, we are aware that MMDAs are supposed to generate revenue to be able to boost the local economy. And as a former MCE, one thing that happens mostly is that there are a lot of leakages in revenue mobilization. And I want to find out from you, how do you intend to work with the MMDAs to ensure that there will be blockage of leakages of revenue mobilization? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, in the first place, we are all moving towards digitalization of or automation of revenue generation channels. And therefore, the first solution will be to digitize all revenue generation or revenue collection points at the MMDAs. 2, Mr. Chairman, we must deliver open and accountable governance, where chiefs, opinion leaders, and people residing in the particular jurisdiction of a district assembly will be aware of 1, revenues generated from their electoral areas, 2, revenue generated from their district assemblies, 3, how those revenues have been applied to the various contracts that have been awarded. If we practice a bit of accountability, Mr. Chairman, I think it will go a long way to improve upon the revenue generation of the MMDAs. It should not be a one-man job. It must be a participatory service in nature.
Thank you very much. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Honorable Leader, I want to find out from you if you will consider recruiting more revenue collectors to support in revenue mobilization. I speak as a typical example, citing my municipality, the Adikotopon. It's a big place, and I believe the revenue collectors there are not enough to be able to collect the revenue to be used by the assembly.
Mr. Chairman, having been a long-standing member of the local committee, there was a particular exercise where we embarked upon a field work to go to the various MMDAs and identify how much IGF, internally generated fund, they've been collecting annually. Mr. Chairman, it will surprise you. The staff, the amount spent on the revenue staff is more than the amount that is used to pay them. Most of the assemblies. And this was one of our fundings. And therefore, a lot of recommendations were given. And I think the report was taken on the floor of Parliament. And the records are there. So the issue goes beyond just recruitment. Secondly, in that report, we suggested that we employ a number of national service personnel as seated in Accra, some as receptionists, and their services are being needed in most of the MMDAs to collect revenue. So, Mr. Chairman, beyond waiting to get financial clearance from the Minister of Finance to employ revenue collectors, we may have to visit the side of going to the National Service Secretariat, asking for national service personnel, and giving them to the various MMDAs, charging them with the responsibility that those who will be so hardworking to be able to collect more revenue to the assembly during their national service time may be recommended for recruitment into this area of revenue collection. If those measures are taken, Mr. Chairman, I think it will help to improve upon the revenue collection of the various assemblies. Because once you employ the person and tell him that you are a full-time revenue collector, the person goes and become, excuse me to say, I don't want to use the word lazy, refuse to work as hard as the commission collectors. And this is the more reason why we must engage national service persons, charge them with responsibility, motivate them with the opportunity to be retained. In that regard, Mr. Chairman, I believe will help solve the problem.
Still have the last question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Honorable Leader, my last one is, I believe in your capabilities, and I know you are going to work well as the Minister Designate for Local Government, Chieftaincy, and Religious Affairs. And I trust that you are going to work with our chiefs and religious bodies to ensure that we continue to enjoy the peace that we are enjoying. Institution, you are going to keep an eye there, and whoever will represent you on that front will give you proper reports so that wherever there are issues, we'll be able to resolve them. On this note, I want to congratulate you again, and I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, my good sister, Honorable Rita Odolesoa.
Thank you. It's now the turn of Honorable Patrick Yaoboama.
Thank you very much, Chairman, and congratulations to my good friend and brother, and then you'll be through.
Anyhow, thank you, my good brother.
Thank you. Ahmed, I can see a lot of prominent chiefs behind you, and your portfolio includes that of the Chieftaincy, our revered Chieftaincy institution, which is captured under Chapter 20 of our Constitution, 22. We have witnessed a lot of chieftaincy disputes in this country. Some resolved, some unresolved. Even if you look at the Chieftaincy Act of 1970, provisions were made for the traditional houses to settle disputes. Same repeated under the 2008 Act. The same definition for who a chief is retained, Asante and other paramount chiefs. Their designations and categorizations are there. If you go to the traditional judicial councils, I don't know if you have your Chieftaincy Act with you. Don't worry, I'll assist you. But from section 22 to 30, deals with the jurisdictions of the various houses of chiefs and judicial committees and their roles. The chiefs they don't earn any income. Even their lands, there are issues with other neighbors. Investors do have issues with them. They go and do all sorts of things there. The capacity of the judicial councils to even deal with matters affecting the institution down there, to the extent that they can't even afford the services of lawyers to handle matters for them. Because for them to be able to hire the services of lawyers to deal with issues relating to their paramountcies or schemes requires the services of very good lawyers to handle same. Some ought to be on retainer. How are you going to use your office to resource the various judicial councils to be able to recruit the right lawyers to deal with some of the matters affecting chieftaincy in this country? Because their positions are recognized by the Constitution and also the Chieftaincy Act. Thank you.
Thank you, my very good brother. This is a very sensitive This is a very sensitive area, but as you have asked, it was one of the concerns of the chiefs. In the first place, our distinguished and revered chiefs earn their place by birth. And therefore, as one of our recommendations or suggestions, thank God the Chieftaincy ministry is now being merged, it's now taking its rightful position with the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development. What we are going to do is to consider liaise with whoever becomes the Attorney General and look at how best the Attorney General, together with our revered chiefs, can work together to improve upon the condition of the lawyers of the Ministry of Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs. With that, if the conditions appointment is being done by the Attorney General, the lawyers who are working at the Chieftaincy Judicial Committee and these things will have some sigh of relief, because they will be entitled to the conditions of service of the lawyers in the Ministry of Attorney General, the Attorney General Ministry. In that way, Mr. Chairman, I believe it will help to retain good and qualified lawyers to support our chiefs. Two, now that we are going to be privileged to establish our own university for local governance studies, one of the courses that are being suggested is that since our revered chiefs earn their positions by birth, it is the responsibility of the state, looking at the sensitive roles that they play, that we give them capacity building training by establishing a course in the University for Local Governance called Royal Academy of Chiefs, where the state will help or facilitate in training and organizing seminars and courses or capacity building courses for our chiefs by giving them the customary, taking them through the customary laws and those things. If that is done, Mr. Chairman, I believe it will go a long way to solve the problem
Ahmed,
that we have.
the Royal Academy of Chiefs, will it be a department or an academy?
Mr. Chairman, we have University of Local Governance Studies. This year's capacity will be built. Chiefs' capacity will be built. Mr. Chairman, if you can't, I'm not a lawyer, but when it comes to law, our lawyers will tell you that when it comes to customary issues, they need to be given special touch.
Okay,
Royal-
now I hold it off.
Chairman, I didn't want to do this, but let me. Honorable nominee, welcome.
Thank you, my good friend.
And congratulations. In other words, it will be a faculty for chieftaincy studies. In other words.
Mr. Speaker, that is why the lawyers are there, because you'll be brought together for us to bring the
thank you very
various
much.
subjects and courses together.
Thank you very
for
much.
now, we just want you to know that we have
You have
course like
intentions
that.
to run a
Exactly.
formal program for our chiefs and queen mothers.
Exactly.
Brilliant. Thank you
Exactly.
very much.
And thank you for adding the Queen Mothers.
So, Honorable, please go ahead.
Smart Ahmed. Ahmed, let me turn your attention to your party's manifesto. On, I think it's paragraph 6.31. Your intentions to upgrade. You have not been nominated. You can't sit there and ask questions. Rocks in the film report. Page 181 of 200. You are proposing to set up, to come out with a formula to implement the plastic waste recycling fund under the Customs Excise Amendment Act. Do you know how much goes into the fund annually? And whether you have an idea of the proposed formula and its distribution? Because I'm sure you are thinking in the light of the DACF formula or the GET Fund or the NHI formula with regards to this. But first and foremost, you need to know how much, because this is what you call the baller tax that you spoke against. And now in the manifesto, you are thinking of coming out with a formula under your waste management program, solid waste management program. I don't begrudge you, but I want to have an idea. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, that will fall under the jurisdiction of the Minister for Finance. Now that all the taxes are being considered and being realigned, so if you can give me the benefit of the doubt, let's wait for the Minister for Finance to bring the budget latest by next month or next 2 months. Then we'll see the way forward. Once this, for now, it is a policy. Once the calculations and the things have not yet been done, when the Minister of Finance bring it, you and I are here, and we are going to work together to know what will go into it. But for the record, you know, I thought you were going to credit me. We were all part of a three committee made up of 75 MPs who went on nationwide tour to come to propose that there must be a sanitation tax, which is called baller tax. And Mr. Chairman, you know I was the convener of those 3-member committee. So I thought you were going to credit me. From where we sit, some may speak against it, but it was our brainchild.
Chairman, I don't have any further questions for my friend. I'm needed in the chamber, and I have to beg leave of you. Ahmed, congratulations. I wish you the very best.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. But Honorable Boama, you know you will be highly, and your services will be highly needed in my new ministry.
For a fee.
Thank you, Honorable. It's now the turn of Honorable Roxanne Dafiamapo.
Chairman, thank you very much. Chairman, I have a couple of questions for my whip, and it's to enhance his work. No malice intended at all. Yet, let's make progress. The key issue for members of parliament and also the assemblies, especially, because having had the opportunity to serve on the Public Accounts Committee for 8 years, I've come accustomed to the peculiar problems of the assembly in carrying out their mandate. It's in respect of the late releases of their share of the common fund. And as the sector minister, if this persists, we are going to be bedeviled with this. What innovative means would you deploy to ensure that there are regular releases of these funds to the various assemblies to carry out their mandate from not the Ministry of Finance, but from the administrator?
Mr. Chairman, you and I know that any government that plays with the timely release of this Assembly Common Fund to the MMDAs pays the consequences. In 2014, the NDC couldn't pay the third quarter. I was a deputy whip. We spoke about it. We lost the 2016 elections. After that, it was paid. In 2024, the current government also delayed in paying the third and fourth quarter. He also paid the price. And after losing, he has paid. Whether you win or lose, you pay it. So a government that is in power and you want to win your elections, you must pay for your for your DCEs to work. If they work, the electorate will be happy and they will vote for you. So I'm not going to keep my mouth shut because I'm the minister responsible for local governance. I will continue to work as I used to work when I was a whip and when I was a member of the local governance committee, and make sure there is timely releases of those funds. Thankfully, the person I used to do the work together with, and that was the minister responsible, is now going to occupy the high office of the minister responsible for finance, who is very organized and focused, and who understands he is a 5-time member of parliament. I'm a 5-time member of parliament. We all understand the repercussions of pay. So if you want the electorates to be happy and retain the government, we'll do whatever possible to make sure the monies are released. Secondly, Mr. Chairman, as in connection with the person who sits at the office of the administrator for this Assembly Common Fund, that is going to be a crucial consideration that we must all take due cognizance of. If you consider the role that such a sensitive office plays, the person who occupies it must be a person that will be vetted by this very committee. And it is for that reason that article, the Constitution is clear that this committee must not only vet the minister responsible for local governance, but you must also vet the person who is going to be the administrator for District Assembly Common Fund. So whoever is going to sit there will come before you for vetting. And I believe this question, when he comes, it must also be made clear to him or her.
Beautiful. Now, one problem that the Public Accounts Committee also got confronted with as a result of the Auditor General having to flag it year in, year out, is the issue of the deterioration of assembly offices. A lot of our district assemblies, the structures are in a state of disuse, and it's a problem. They are unable to raise the necessary funds to undertake early renovation. And so as the years roll by, the structures falls into desuetude, as lawyers will say. Your ministry, so these are the existing problems. Desuetude, that's a law term. Disuse. So these are the existing problems for your ministry. How are you going to tackle this with alacrity so that the assemblies, they operate from very good environment, so to speak?
As a matter of fact, there is going to be a radical shift of mindset at the various MMDAs, no matter the cost. I can build a whole district. You cannot be given one building, and you say that within that district jurisdiction, they cannot maintain that one house. I totally disagree. So what we can do when giving the nod is that if you are a district chief executive and you are unable to maintain, repair your own office, then you have no business sitting there. That is a fact. 2, DCEs are not protocol officers. They are local economic development agents. You cannot be sitting there waiting for Accra to bring you money. That will also be tackled. That is why I said we are going to form a common where all ministers for local governance, former chief directors responsible for local, they are all going to be consulted. When it comes to local governance, we have the Honorable Joseph Yelichre, the Honorable Ofosuampofo, the Honorable Oponfoso, the Honorable Matiaje Mensah Kosa, the Honorable Damboche, Haji Alima. We have a number of former ministers for local governance. They all wanted to do something small, they couldn't complete it. The same way, we have former chief directors. They all wanted to do something, they couldn't complete it. We will practice what we call administrative continuity. We will bring all those people together in an informal way so that the nation will benefit from the opportunity that they were given when they were in office. There are little things that we can do, and I believe there will be a change. And there will be a very fruitful democratic dividends, so that these youths will not just become protocol officers. They attend funerals, attend programs, attend workshops, and come and see they're waiting for Accra to bring them money. We'll move beyond that. Thank you.
Brilliant. Now, there are some peculiar problems with some assemblies. And I'll cite my district to make the point. The problem is in demarcating the administrative jurisdictions for some of these assemblies. Some traditional areas are bifurcated into two. So for instance, if you take the Southern district, Kweve is my district capital. If you get to Kweve, half of Kweve lies in Afajato South, the town, and half constitutes the district capital for Southern. One community, but divided into two, like the colonial masters did for us, and we're crying. But we have also done it to some traditional areas. So how are we going to tackle that? And let me add, if you go to the other side of Southern, when we were under Pando, the Dedo was part of Southern. But when Southern was carved out of Pando as a district, somehow the Dedo now falls under the administrative jurisdiction of whole West, even though it's a Peki community. And the Peki people, my people, I'm their MP. We've submitted petitions, just like Kweve also did, for that to be corrected. It's taking forever. And I know that having gone around this country in our public accounts work, we've encountered this in several other areas. So how do we streamline this so that peculiar traditional areas fall within peculiar administrative jurisdictions of districts?
Mr. Chairman, this is something we must give critical look at. Boundary dispute is real. I have visited a number of district assemblies in my 17 years or 16 or more in this parliament, and it is a time bomb. Ghana as a country used to play with boundary issues, and it was not until 2010 that, being a member in this house, when we had critical problem with Cote d'Ivoire, that we formed the Ghana Boundary Commission. And you know that is only responsible for international boundaries. But when it comes to the internal boundaries, there's a shortcoming in that regard. So when given the nod, it is an aspect that a critical look must be taken. Thank God we are bringing our distinguished and revered chiefs on board who are privy to these physical boundaries and barriers. So clearly, one, there will be a lot of consultations and some technical brains must be put together to make sure that we address that issue. The reason why it keeps on increasing and increasing is that we create some districts, we don't finish redrawing the district boundaries, geographical boundaries, then we create other ones. So we keep on compounding that problem. But I believe, as a country, time is of essence to make sure that we know our internal boundaries. And, Mr. Chairman, we have a lot of surveyors in this country, a number of them trained. So I don't think it will be a difficult thing for us to do if we want to align our boundary distance. But one critical thing is that when it comes to constituencies, it doesn't fall within the jurisdiction of the minister responsible for local government. That lies within the purview of the electoral commissioner. Until the electoral commission create his constituencies, the minister cannot be saying that, oh, I will redraw this or redraw that. Secondly, Article 47 is clear. That's for electoral commission. As for the duration for the creation of those things to, is 7 years or after population census. So if I sit here and say, oh, we will redraw the district boundaries or electoral boundaries, I may not. But the existing ones can be rechecked and make sure that there is a district map for every district. But that will also need time. There are very critical issues, and this is a national security matter. So I believe it must be looked at. But I can't promise either this year or next year. But for now, we identify it as a problem.